The following is a presentation of the Arizona Cardinals Broadcast Network.
Run it, run it, run it. Let's go. Get out, let's go. Here we go, work at it. Work your technique. Do little things right. That's it. All right, roll it.
This is Cardinals Game Plan, presented by Dignity Health. Your hosts, Paul Calvisi and Ron Wolfley, with the head coach, Kliff Kingsbury.
Well, it turns out the Rams couldn't wait for last Sunday, and now the Cardinals can't wait for this Sunday. Sometimes the NFL, Wolf, you know, is about as volatile as the stock market.
Especially, Paul, the way you invest.
No, we don't want to talk about
Brutal.
the dot-com era. This game and the result, I mean, you didn't even necessarily need the scoreboard in some ways, did you? It was just sort of the eyeball test, and you got a sense, and I know you used the word flat. To you, was it all three phases?
It was. We didn't play well in any phase. I didn't think we had the same intensity and passion and effort that we've been showing throughout the season. And so that was disappointing as a staff and as a team, and we got to bounce back from it.
Kliff, other than giving me information, as a former player, I never expected a coach to get me ready to play. How did you feel about that as a former player yourself?
Yeah, I think particularly a professional player, I mean, that's your job to go out there and be ready to play. And, as a coach, you want to think you can inspire and get them motivated, but at the end of the day, the players, they need to get ready and be ready to play at a high level, and we weren't ready between coaches and players. So it's a group problem, and we got to get it fixed.
Because if there was one constant this year, it was the compete level, wasn't it?
I think so. I felt like we competed each and every week and came out to win, and there was fight and kept us in ball games, and unfortunately, it wasn't there this weekend.
You know, Larry had mentioned if he had seen it in practice or he had seen it even after the first series, he would have addressed it, but he really didn't have an explanation for it. Any theories as you look back now?
I don't. I mean, the bye, we were in a bit of a rhythm, and the bye may have slowed that down, but that's no excuse. We were fresh off the bye and recharged and rejuiced, and I thought we'd play well coming off of it. We knew we'd get their best shot. They were fired up after their tough loss, but we have to be better. That's just unacceptable.
Coach, do you feel like you have to talk to some of the leaders in the locker room about your position on this and the lack of competitiveness that you saw last Sunday?
We had some good discussions as a team and to certain individuals, and it's a prideful group, and nobody wants to put out what we did last week, and I expected to get better in a hurry.
As a former player, you really do understand that, right? I mean, again, the leadership and how important that is in that locker room, right?
No doubt. Those guys that have done it before and been on winning teams and know what it's supposed to look like, those guys really carry that and need to step up.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned treating this final month plus as a season unto itself, correcting some of the things that have been constants through the year. Tight end has to be up there. Defending the tight end has to be right up there in the list of priorities at this point, I would imagine.
It is. We still haven't found an answer. Tried some different things and still have to get it fixed. And that's something we'll look at this week. How can we slow that position down? But those guys are having big time days against us, and it's making it hard on us to find a way to win.
Is it also just my imagination, Kliff, or are we having a harder time getting pressure on a quarterback as well?
I think so. They're doing different things to take Chandler away, and we got to find a way to not make it so easy back there and get them off their spot and make it tougher on those QBs.
When you talk about the explosive plays the Rams had, and there were 6 different receivers who each had a catch of 20-plus yards, how much of that is tied in, the coverage with the pass rush?
It definitely goes hand in hand. As a unit, we just have to play better. We have to do our job and not give up those big plays in this league. You can't afford to give those up, and LA took advantage of it.
Giving up all those big plays as well, Kliff, was there a common denominator? Was it more physical, or was it more mental? What was it in terms of breaking it down?
It was a bit of both, I'd say, and you got to give them credit. Those guys made great plays, and Jared was really on, had a tremendous game, but we can't allow guys to run that freely in space, and got to get our hands on them and slow that down.
Was Kyler slowed by the hamstring injury? What did you think of his mobility?
I don't think he was slowed. Maybe not as explosive as humanly possible, like normal, but I thought he could move around well enough to win the game if we needed him to. And I don't know if the bye slowed us down offensively, but as a unit, once again, we weren't very sharp, and so we have to get better.
Knowing that he had tweaked his hammy, were you a little reticent to actually call plays for him? Did it impact you as a play caller at all, Cliff?
Yeah, definitely. We wanted to make sure we were safe and try to do things that allowed him to remain healthy and not pull it, to any drastic measure. And I thought he took care of himself well, but once again, we just couldn't find a rhythm.
After the game, he cited the interior pressure and how he should have trusted the pocket a little more. But it's easier said than done against Aaron Donald and company, isn't it?
It is, and it's a learning experience for him, which all these games are. And unfortunately, as a rookie quarterback, you're going to have days like that, and you have to learn from it. You have to get better, and I believe he will. He was upset about the way he performed, and he knows he can play a lot better, and we all can. I can coach better, and we can get that thing rolling again.
Overall, Cliff, how did he do mentally? How did he do with the game plan and checks on the ball? How did he do overall mentally?
I thought it was okay. Probably not our best effort, but once again, I think coming off the bye, Thanksgiving, I mean, there were a lot of things going on, and we just got out of rhythm and never recovered.
And then to start this week, he had a tough decision. Tremaine Brock was released.
Yeah, we have some young guys who we feel like have made strides and want to get them in there and have earned the opportunity to see what they can do over this last month.
Who do you think might pick up the majority of reps, Cliff?
Yeah, Chris Jones will get some snaps. Kevin Peterson and both those guys have come on late, and I'm excited to see how they play.
And once upon a time, Hassan Reddick was a big-time pass rusher in college off the edge. We might see him outside a little bit?
It could be. We want to find a way to maximize who he is as a player and use some of that speed on the field.
Next, a deep dive with Coach Kingsbury on Sunday's disappointing performance and a look ahead into the matchup with the Steelers on Cardinals Game Plan, presented by Dignity Health. Cardinals Game Plan is brought to you by Dignity Health. Hello, human kindness. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
All right, back with the head coach, Kliff Kingsbury. Let's zoom out for a minute. Just overall objectives you'd love to see over the final month of the season.
We've talked about just playing our best football. We think that's still out in front of us. We've had moments where we feel like we could play with anybody, but then had some things happen where hasn't allowed us to finish those games. And so we want to play our best football at the end, finish close games, and build going into next year.
Cliff, do you think it's a large enough sample size to actually make determinations about certain players and draw conclusions?
I think it will be by the end of this deal. You want to see, we're not going to be in the playoffs. That's been established. And so how do we finish this deal? How do we play? The type of competitiveness we show over the past month will go a long way.
So the Steelers come in. They're fighting for a playoff spot in the AFC. What sort of litmus test and challenge is this going to be?
It's going to be a great challenge. They've won 2 in a row, playing great defense and complementary football. We know they need a win to stay in that race, and so we're going to have to play our best football game.
Coach, what do you know of Mike Tomlin philosophically and schematically and personally?
Yeah, he's been a winner in this league. I don't know him well, but just follow him over the years. His teams are physical, they're tough, and they find a way to win football games in all 3 phases, and we expect to be a huge challenge.
They're third in the NFL with 43 sacks. What would you say their scheme is? How do they get to the quarterback usually?
Yeah, they're aggressive. They're bringing a lot of 5-man pressures and find different ways to get matchups, and then they play with an edge. You can see that. He's instilled a great edge in that team, and they come after you.
It takes a team, obviously, to protect the quarterback, not just the offensive line, but talk a little bit about the offensive line. Are you happy with the offensive line so far, Cliff?
I am. I think they've continued to get better. This past week, there were some throws we feel like Kyler, and he knows it, could have got it out and could have avoided those sacks. And that's something, once again, the negative plays have really hurt us when we do allow those, particularly on 1st and 2nd down. But the O-line has played really hard and well, and kind of come together as a group and just have to keep going.
I've seen other dual threat quarterbacks usually see a spy, Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson. How often does Kyler see a spy, and you guys have to contend with that?
Yeah, they're definitely keeping an eye on where he's going, and a lot of times having a guy wait on him, and that comes with the territory when you have a guy that can move around.
Keith Butler is a longtime defensive coordinator in this league, right? Kind of a Dickie LeBeau disciple, as a matter of fact. Do you see signs of the old Blitzburg from the Pittsburg Steelers defense?
Definitely. Maybe not quite as exotic as they were with Dick and all those guys he was bringing, but yeah, he does a great job mixing up pressures and finding matchups, and we'll have to know where they're at all times.
They have Joe Hayden in the corner. They added Minka Fitzpatrick. Already has 5 interceptions. What has he done for that secondary?
You can tell he brings a lot of confidence. He has cornerback type skills playing safety, and he's always around the football, and he's really kind of shored that thing up, and since he's been there, they've been playing great defense.
They got a great pass rush as well, right? I mean, this defense, they got Cameron Hayward, as a matter of fact. They got TJ Watt, Bud Dupree.
Right.
I mean, they come after you, don't they?
They do. They got a lot of first-round talent on that defense, and they pin their ears back and come after you. And it'll be, once again, a great challenge for us to see how we respond from last week and handle that.
Steelers are basically on their fourth-string quarterback, guy by the name of Devlin Duck Hodges. There's only really 2 games worth of film to evaluate. What sort of challenge does that make it?
He's 2-0, and he protects the football, and they've done a nice job of building it around him. And you can see those guys are excited when he plays, and they play hard for him. So you got to take your hat off to him to be able to step in there and find a way to win NFL games.
James Conner, the running back, it looks like could be a go to play against the Cardinals. Well, how does he change that offense for them?
He's a downhill runner, power football. He falls forward on his carries and just brings that type of dynamic, a toughness to that position that'll be hard to contend with.
And how curious are you to see how the Cardinals respond after the tough loss to the Rams?
I am. I mean, it was about as bad as it can get, and we understand that, and we have to play better. We have to get back to who we are and having that fight and passion and effort and then clean a lot of things up.
More with Coach Kingsbury later. Up next, Christian Kirk and Byron Murphy mic'd up on Cardinals Game Plan. Welcome back to Cardinals Game Plan. 2 promising young players wore the mic this past Sunday, Christian Kirk and Byron Murphy. Wired, brought to you by your Arizona Ford dealers.
Hey man, let's take the field, be special, and do what we do. Don't play out of character. Just do your job. Take one play at a time. Let's go out and get it done today. Let's go. Be special on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be special.
The Cardinals return to State Farm Stadium with the roof open on the first day of December to begin a 3-game, 2-week homestand.
Yes, sir. Great day. Great Sunday. Let's turn up. Time to be great today. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Buddha. Hey, I'm mic'd up today to let you know. So I'm going crazy today. Hey, Herb, I see you. Oh! Yes, sir. I'm doing a show. I'll be back soon. My juice is crazy. Oh, yeah. Feet feeling great. Great day to play some football, huh? Great day to play some football. So I need to get moving. It's cold. Damn. Here we go. Here we go.
Play action. Goff throws over the middle. It's behind Edwards, incomplete. Byron Murphy in coverage at the 30-yard line.
I got to make up for it, though.
Handed off to Gurley straight ahead, and it is a touchdown for the Rams. 16-0, 2:41 to go in the half.
Let's go, man. We got to fight.
Murray in shotgun with Kenyon Drake in the backfield. And play action pass. Murray drops back to throw, fires over the middle, and it's tipped and picked off by Rapp at midfield, tackled by Christian Kirk.
See that? He's looking at it go high. He didn't see me. Look. He didn't see me. That's pass interference. Was it PI?
After review, pass interference, defense number 23.
PI like a mug.
It'll be first down for Arizona.
He thought he had one. Come on, D, get a stop.
From the deep back, Goff, play fake, rolls to the left. Goff keeps it, now throws left. It's tipped by Murphy, incomplete.
Come on, bro, come on. Let's get something going.
2nd and 10 on the 25. Play action pass. Murray from the pocket. Sidearms it, picked off at the 30-yard line. Pick 6 for Taylor Rapp. It's 34-0.
Hey, we grown ass men, we can't quit though.
Hell no. I'm about to make a play. Oh! Come on, Steve Kirk, make a play, bro.
Snap to Murray, and back to throw. Looking deep, fires, middle of the field,
Touchdown.
in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Christian Kirk hits the goalpost, but just bounces right up.
You good, get up.
Doink! Oh my goodness.
Damn! Hey, whoa. That's a whole nother defender on him. Not what we wanted. Time to get back to work.
Coming up, Paul and Wolf discuss how the Cardinals can bounce back and what to expect from the Pittsburg Steelers on Cardinals Game Plan. Welcome back to Cardinals Game Plan. Now, Paul and Wolf put the spotlight on the opponent, the Pittsburg Steelers, presented by Phillips Law Group.
Well, if the rest of this year is all about figuring out what and who you have for next year and finishing strong and seeing if there's carryover, man, are we curious to see how this team responds against a Pittsburgh Steelers team that you know is going to bring the intensity, the physicality. Kyler Murray, for example, Wolf, coming off the most lopsided loss of his life. And that's just one element of how this Cardinals team responds.
Especially too, Paulie, because Kyler Murray did not play well, and Kyler Murray would tell you that himself, right? And yet he's the least of the Arizona Cardinals' worries. He has played so incredibly well for this team. I want to see how they respond because this game was an outlier. This last game, Paul, we have not seen them play this futilely all season long. And I'm talking about offensively, defensively, and in transition as well with special teams. This is the worst game they've played by far and away. I want to see how all of these guys are going to respond. And when I say all of them, in particular, I'm looking at the leaders inside that locker room. I'm looking at Chandler Jones. I'm looking at Patrick Peterson. I'm looking at Kyler Murray. He's a leader, got to be a leader by his position alone. I'm looking at Larry Fitzgerald. I'm looking at these guys that are going to hold everyone else accountable, come out and ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know, the front office is looking at who they have and who they want going forward into next year. They also want to reestablish that home field advantage. What sort of challenge is that going to be against this Steelers team?
It's going to be tough, no doubt about it, because we know the Steelers' contingency is going to turn out. There's no doubt about that, Paulie. And you know what? This defense, the Steelers' defense is the real deal. They are elite in a lot of major metrics that are out there right now. Getting to the quarterback and then taking the ball away from the quarterback, those are two of the biggest things they do very, very well. That's going to be an area where Kyler Murray's going to have to protect the ball, and you're going to have to protect Kyler with that offensive line.
And we know how well he played against the Niners, not once but twice, right? How about some other aspect of this team stepping up when the quarterback is not playing well? For example, the pass defense. Jordan Hicks talked about, it only takes one guy to miss an assignment or be in the wrong spot on leverage, and all of a sudden you're giving up a lot of those chunk plays. What else would you like to see beyond Kyler Murray to you?
Well, I want to see overall competitiveness once again. That was the shocking thing about it, Paul. I mean, to all of us that have been around this team, this team has been competitive for the most part. To see him come out of the tunnel flat in all three phases, that was very, very disconcerting to me. That's what I want to see, improvement with effort. You got 4 games to go, Paul. 4 games. Got to sell out.
We want to see 4 quarters against the Steelers.
Coach Kingsbury's final thoughts leading up to game day when we return to Cardinals Game Plan. Cardinals Game Plan has been brought to you by Dignity Health, Hello Human Kindness, and by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
We started the show talking about just the ups and the downs of the season. When it comes to frustrations, that home loss to the Rams, that's got to rank up there, we would imagine.
It definitely does. Just not seeing the fight, the passion that we've had as a team and a coaching staff for all of the season outside of that one. It's not who we want to be, and we got to get back to playing at a high level.
On the flip side of that, though, Kliff, you guys have played really, really well on the road. Why do you think that is? Any theories?
I don't. You'd like to be able to handle business at home a little bit better. When we have such great fans, such a great stadium to play in, that's something we have to work on moving forward.
Have you liked the response in practice this week?
I have. Guys showed up, in a bad mood because they're frustrated with how they played and want to get better, and I expect us to play a much better football game.
It's really difficult, though, isn't it? Because you're not going out there and practicing full tempo. It's hard to practice this late in the season, isn't it?
To an extent. The pad use is limited, but it doesn't change, effort, attitude, things you can control, and the guys understand that it has to be a lot better than it was last week.
All right, some keys, especially against the Steelers team. What do you think will be most important?
Yeah, defense, we have to stay on schedule as far as, getting them behind the chains. Young quarterback, can't let them be in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 situations. Put it on him to try and beat you in those 3rd and long situations. And then offensively, handle the pressures. They're going to be coming from everywhere, every snap, and we got to do a good job handling it.
Coach, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Cardinals Game Plan. For more all-access Cards content, check out the team's official YouTube page at youtube.com/AZCardinals.